All rise.
The Kosovo Specialist Chambers is now in session.
Please be seated. Madam Court Officer, can you please call the case?
Good morning, Your Honors. This is case KSC BC 2020-05, the Specialist Prosecutor versus Salih Mustafa.
Thank you, Madam Court Officer. First, I will call the appearances. Mr. Prosecutor, you have the floor.
Good morning, Your Honors. Good morning, everyone. The prosecution is represented today by Sylvia Dascoli, Associate Prosecutor, Linda Pedersen, the case manager, and my name is Cezary Michalczuk. I'm the SPO Prosecutor.
Thank you. Madam Victims Counsel, you have the floor.
Good morning, Your Honours. Good morning, everybody. The participating victims are today represented by Brechtje Vossenberg, my co-counsel, and by myself, Annie Puse's counsel.
Thank you. Defense Counsel, you have the floor.
Good morning, Your Honor. Defense is represented today by Mr. Betim Shala, my co-counsel, Mr. Fatmi Apillai, interpreter and investigator, myself, Julius von Bonnet, and joining us via remote is today Mr. Mustafa.
Thank you, Defense Counsel. Mr. Mustafa, can you hear us well?
Yes, Your Honor.
And for the record, you are appearing before trial panel 1, and Judge Mikola is participating remotely. Equipment has been installed in order to enable him to follow remotely the proceedings both in public and in private and in closed session. Today's hearing is dedicated to the defense opening statements as provided for in Rule 126, paragraph 2 of the rules. And before that, I would like to discuss something. Madam Court Officer, can we please go into private session, please?
Your Honors, we're in public session.
Thank you, Madam Court Officer. We will proceed with the defense opening statement. According to panel's order of 9 March, the defense shall have 2 hours for its opening statement. The defense has been authorized to use some visual aids and some other tools of which is material has already been disclosed. The panel highlights that the material will not be shown to the public. Yeah? In addition, the defense has informed the panel that the accused will not be making an unsworn statement today. Okay. Mr. von Bonnet, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Your Honor, following the dissolution of Yugoslavia, the struggle for independence of Kosovo had been shaped in two forms. In Pacific movement, as the first from the one covering the period 1990 to March 1998, the resistance movement being the second one. The latter took over from the former, ultimately upon the elimination of Commander Adem Yashari and his extended family, mostly women and children. This was the biggest incentive to further trigger and consolidate the resistance in struggling for independence. Adem Yashari is considered as the legendary commander of the KLA. His patriotic and heroic efforts for the liberation of Kosovo are still remembered until today in Kosovo. The liberation from an oppressive and brutal regime. On the 5th, 6th, and 7th March 1998, the military and police forces attacked the compound of the family of Adem Yashari in Prekas in the Drenica area. Serbian forces thought that with the killing of the entire family of Yashari, the resistance of the people and the population of Kosovo would have been given a definite blow, to the extent that resistance would stop. The mass killing of the 59 people at the compound of the family Yashari, among them many children, some of them only as old as 7 years, is one of the worst Serbian regime crimes ever committed in Kosovo. One of the many crimes that Serbian forces did in Kosovo. Other people living at the compound, such as elderly and related family members, were killed in this unprecedented attack on the two-story family house located next to the hills in Prekas. The attack has left a significant and fundamental mark on the history of Kosovo in its quest for liberating itself from an oppressive regime. Most probably, the killing of the entire family by the Serbian forces became a turning point in the resistance of the people of Kosovo. The brutal attack by an oppressive regime would meet forced resistance with a broad-based support among the population of Kosovo. Many of the people volunteered to resort to an armed struggle to free itself of the regime that kept an extremely tight grip on the population for many years. It was about 1 year after, on the 24th of March 1999, that is this week, 23 years ago, NATO commenced its airstrikes in order to liberate Kosovo from the oppressive regime. The NATO airstrikes lasted until June 1999. The NATO airstrikes were prompted by Yugoslavia's bloodshed and ethnic cleansing of Albanians, which drove the Albanians into neighboring countries. The NATO operations were a humanitarian intervention which had become necessary when Yugoslavia refused to sign the Rambouillet Accords. NATO justified its actions as they were taken in order to prevent a major humanitarian catastrophe. The NATO attacks on Pristina of March 24, 1999, are well known to each of the citizens in Kosovo who survived the conflict. Still, the Serbian forces did not stop their actions of ethnic cleansing at the time. There was a pattern of forced expulsion of Kosovo citizens, ethnic Albanians, from their homes. The most significant date in this context is the large-scale deportation of Albanians from the train station in Pristina. It was on the 31st of March, 1999, another day that is deeply engraved in the minds of many Kosovo citizens, as it was a significant event in Kosovo. It has been described as one of the significant events of the OSCE report that can be found in the case file. It is about a neighborhood of Pristina being cleansed. It reads as follows: multiple but unconfirmed reports indicate that ethnic Albanian families are being forced from their homes systematically by neighborhood and being marched to the Pristina sports stadium. Some groups are being taken directly to the train station for onward movement to Fyrom, that is Macedonia. Large groups of armed civilians, some in makeshift uniforms. These are large groups of armed Serbian civilians, where some of them were in makeshift uniforms, and they are reportedly involved in these expulsions, as well as with the general harassment of the ethnic Albanians and the looting and vandalism of their homes and shops. This modus operandi is apparently to scare Kosovars from their residences by burning buildings and firing weapons. After exit, the Kosovars are herded to the train station in Pristina for forward movement to the Fyrom border. 7,000 Kosovars were shipped out during the evening of the 31st March and the 1st of April. It can be found in the case file IT 0587.1, page 01029, that is page 164 in the case file. or the number should read 03525497. It's the same page number 100 as 164. Your Honor, the forced expulsion has been reported in the report of the OSCE called Kosovo as seen, as told in Chapter 14, which is in the public domain. According to this report, the OSCE from the 24th of March until the 2nd of April 1999, over 177,500 Albanians arrived in Albania on the 2nd of April, and 130,000 Kosovo Albanians arrived in Macedonia and Albania on the 2nd of April. A very great majority of these people were forcibly expelled from their houses. The expulsions were clearly targeted against Kosovo Albanians and was based on their ethnicity. The OSCE report describes the typical pattern of forced expulsion of ethnic Albanians as follows, and I quote, "Typically, Serbian forces would shell a village some hours, with the result that Kosovo Albanians hid in the basement or fled to the hills. Then, when the shelling stopped, Serb forces, including police, Yugoslav army VJs, would enter the village, shooting in the air. They would break down doors to enter Kosovo Albanians' houses, threaten everyone who had not already fled, and order them to leave, either instantly or within a few minutes, or sometimes within some hours. Sometimes village elders or religious leaders are described as negotiating the implementation of Serb demands. Sometimes certain local Serbs were selected to spread the word that the Kosovo Albanians had to leave. Sometimes the first house to which forces came simply served as an example for the other villagers. I cite once again the OSCE report. After a village had been cleared, Serbian forces often returned some days later to empty the village again of any internal displaced person, IDPs, who had returned, and ensure that there were no Kosovo Albanians left. They would give a renewed ultimatum to leave, with attendant attacks and threats and intimidations. Buses were provided, or people were ordered to go to the railway station, or convoys were sent, and sometimes accompanied to the border. Displacement took place in various directions. the OSCE report once again described it. While some of the expelled went directly to the border, hundreds of thousands Kosovo Albanians were displaced within Kosovo, often for many weeks. While initially those who were expelled or had to flee generally fled only a short distance from their homes, increasingly groups of IDPs found themselves moved around from village to village and from hill to valley until eventually large convoys of tens of thousands of people were formed. Initially, the hills may appear to provide greater safety than villages which were being shelled, but they also became dangerous places. In addition to being caught in crossfire in areas where there was fighting between Serbian, Yugoslav, and UČK, the IDPs were also sometimes targeted directly. Your Honor, it is against this background and the context of the events that took place in Kosovo in the period close to the indictment. And it is relevant to underline it, as defense believes that the internal displaced people that were seeking shelter within Kosovo looked for shelter in the Golak area, the mountainous area east of Pristina. The crimes that allegedly took place, as described in the indictment, concentrate in the mountainous area called Golak. The alleged crimes allegedly took place in the Slash area. The focus of the indictment is the period of the 1st until the 19th of April 1999. And the defense wishes first to take a look at the area where the alleged crimes would have taken place. Slash. There is no defined material in the case file about Slash. We know where it is roughly, but there is no clear-cut demarcation of the area. It is a large area where the houses are widespread over the entire area. There is no such thing as Slash center or Slash village. Administratively, Slash area falls under Bramor, which is a rather larger village at the foot of a mountainous area. To get to Slash from Pristina, it is quite a trip, especially to get to the location of the indictment. It is a trip that goes through mountains on most of the time dirt roads. If it is cold in the winter, the roads are full of mud and it's very hard to travel by car. The locations that the defense will discuss in the course of the defense case will be located on various places. The locations and the distance between them are deceiving. On the map, one can find them, and the distances can be measured. However, in real life, and certainly in the period of 1999, these locations were very difficult to reach. All kinds of factors played a role in this. First of all, the roadblocks and Serbian-controlled areas made it very difficult to reach places. It could take hours or days, or made times passages had to go through the night, throughout the mountainous areas, where there is simply no illumination whatsoever to be found. Many times one would need to go on foot. Obviously, another difficult part of traveling would be simply that continued clashes among KLA and Serbian forces would take place. One would need to circumvent these areas, as they were dangerous routes to travel through. It would take much more time to go from one place to another. At this point, Your Honor, I would like to ask CMU to show the geographical map with the number DSM 00443. Maybe we can blow it up a little bit in order to have a little bit of a better understanding and see where we are. Obviously, we can see Pristina, and if we would go from Pristina on the map with the cursor to the right, then in the next block, that is K07 to be exact, so it's the block in the middle, we can see there slash. Indeed, that is where it is, where the cursor is. And if we go a little bit southward from slash, we will see the village Mramor indicated. It is in the same block. It is just a little bit, that is where it should be, yes, indeed. Thank you very much. I would like to indicate a route, first eastbound, on this map. And I take the route with the starting point of Pristina. Yes. We take it from Pristina and we go eastbound on the big red route, so to speak. And we will first hit a place called Lucare. Exactly, that would be it. And the next place on the same route would be Makovs. Then going a little bit downward in the next block is the place called Grastice. And from there, actually there is a split on that, there would go ultimately a possibility going to Zlaž, from Krasnice to Zlaž. If you would like to indicate Zlaž, yes, it's there. Thank you very much. If we would go back on the same big red road.
Defense counsel, from my understanding,
Yes.
the black road,
Yeah.
not
Is it
red.
black or is it red? On my,
I would say black.
I have, okay, good.
Because
It's
there's also a red road. I just
okay, just the
yeah.
black road then. Yeah, and we stay at Makovs, which is the, yes, from there. If we would go further down, follow that that road further, then at some point we see a little bit northward a place called Radashevs, yes, and following the same road again, we move eventually to a place called Kichikola, that's it, and eventually a little bit further on the same route to Prapastice. From Prapastice, I would like to indicate one more relevant place, because it's on that map the easiest to go from Prapastice downward with the cursor, and we will hit a couple of small villages ending up at a place called Bulaj. It's B-U-L-L-A-J. It is exactly where the cursor is now. Thank you very much. I would like to indicate, please, another road. We start again at Pristina, and we will see eastbound, nearly exactly to the right where the cursor is now, a place called Sofalia. It is, I'm not sure where the cursor is. Yes, that's where it is. And then afterwards, if we go again to the right with the cursor, in the next block we see Butovs. That is lower Butovs. There is an upper Butovs and there is a lower Butovs. For the defense, we believe it is important to highlight that it is their lower Butovs. If we would go back to that same Pristina as a starting point, there is also another option to go a little bit southeast, I would say. That is the place called Matichan. Exactly. And from Matichan, following the route or following the road, we end up at the same Butovs again. Yes, we cannot see a very good road, but I mean this is what we wanted to highlight. We would like to please indicate some locations which are northbound from the capital. If we would move Pristina a little bit, if we could move the entire map a little bit less, a little bit lower, please, Pristina. If we can put it a little bit lower, if we can, yes, a little bit further, please. Yeah, maybe we can blow it up. Yes, so maybe we can blow it up a little bit further. Yes, there we are. So there we see in red down at the bottom, that is Pristina. And if we follow another black road upward, we will see on the left side of that road a little bit further up, a little bit further up, and a little bit further up. Yes, from there, From there you can see on the left side a place called Barileve. And if we move the cursor a little bit further up again, we end up on the, yes, exactly there, on the right side, a place called Vranidol. Towards the right of Vranidol, we can see a place called Rimaniște. Exactly. And a little bit south of Rimaniște, we can see Șarban. And if we go to the next block, we make a kind of a, yes, and if you would please put the cursor up a little bit, yes, we end up at the place called College. Thank you very much. These are the locations that we find relevant for the defense case. I would like to ask CMU to get to a next map. And that is DSM 00415. Thank you very much. Now this map is a little bit, it stretches a little bit larger. On this map, if we can blow it up and we look at Pristina, yes, this is a very good way. Then we see obviously Pristina, and if we take the cursor to the right, following the small blue line which demarcates the several blocks in this map, we see there Slash. Yes, it is there. And a little bit downward, we see Mramor. Yes. And here we can see on the right, towards the right of Slash and a little bit north, we can see a little bit better Prapastice. If we would go on this map also a little bit from Pristina northbound, and maybe we can put Pristina a little bit in at the lower part of the, or we can not blow it up so much anymore, but yes, a little bit like that. Maybe we can put the map a little bit upward so that we can see Pristina. There's Pristina. On this map we've, yes, if we have Pristina, we see again northbound, northeastbound, that is. We see Pristina, we see Lucar there, and we covered already Mramor. And if we go really now northbound, we will see also a little bit, yes, further up we see Barileve there on the left. And if we would follow the same route upwards, yes, and could we at that point maybe blow up a little bit the, yes, and we go further up, we go further up, we go further up. There we will see La Pastice e Perne, which means upper La Pastice. There's also a lower one. You can see that on the same map. It's La Pastice e Postem. Anyway, that is just two. From here, I just want to pinpoint to one more location. To the right, we see a blue lake on the map. It's a lake, and to the right, on the right side of that lake, is a place called Orlan. Yes, that is a significant location as well. If we would follow this, if we can zoom out, as far as I'm concerned, the locations will indicate much more north, places like Potok and so on. This map just goes a little bit more northbound than the other map that I just showed you. Thank you very much, Madam Court Officer. Then we have the geographical issues behind us. We get, and yes, we finished it. We get to the location of the indictment. The indictment centers its focus around a house in which allegedly people were held, maltreated, even tortured. That house would have been located at what the SPO calls a compound. It would be part of a small group of houses on a hilltop within the Golak area. One can hardly call this a village. It is just a very tiny group of structures with variations of purposes of these structures. The group of structures can hardly be defined as a village or even a hamlet. A settlement of houses. It has no particular definition in the administrative way within this large area. I would like to get back for a moment to the previous geographical map, the very first one, DSM 00443. In particular, I would like to, if we can blow it up, and we need the upper part of this particular geographical map, and if we can blow it up, yes, maybe, yes, this I think will be fine. There's one particular route that I would like to show to the panel. The route starts at a place called Surdul, which is in the middle of the square with the number K. Yes, that's exactly where it is, Surdul. And from Surdul, we go a little bit to the right, up, yes, to a place called Turicice. Then from there on, we can go down to the place called Orlan. Now, let me stop at this moment for a second, because there's another way around to go this way, which is from Turicice. And if you would want to put the cursor up, please, again, at Turicice, yes. To the right, in the next block of L, we can see a place called Rakinice, and from there, if we go down, we hit, yes, we go through that little place, and there we have a little bit more south, yes, Kaliatice. From there on, we go back into the square of number K, and south of that, what is it, lake? It's a place called Balaban. Exactly, that's what I want to highlight. And then from Balaban, we need to move the map upward now. Yes, from Balaban we can go down to Keçekola, which is exactly there. Thank you very much, Madam Quarterford. From there, I would like to indicate a place called Kolic, which is roughly in the middle of the square, which is exactly in that place. Yes. And from there, westbound to the other square, going towards Rimaniste. Yes. And from there, going to Vranidol, which is more or less on the same level there. And then if we cross the black road, so to speak, there's a place called Kozarice. And from there, if we go upward, we will go a little bit further upward. We maybe want to move the map a little bit downward. There we are. We end up again at La Pastice e Eperne. Thank you very much. Your Honor, we arrived at, I wanted to speak about the location of the indictment. And if we speak about location of the indictment, we were speaking about the Zlaž area. And to this end, I would like to ask the court officer to show DSM 00389. Is that 389? That is 389. It's not the one that we're looking for. We're looking for, excuse me, DSM. No, I'll do it like this. SPOE, excuse me, SPOE 00213-476. Yes. Here we see an aerial photo of the area where we would be speaking about in the indictment. We can see that from a very large distance, and we can see how it is situated. One part there is really a more kind of a level field. On the other field there is, on the other side there is also a lot of forest and mountain, or mountain and forest. We've had this. And if we go if we would go to the next aerial photo, it would be SPOE 00213-478. Yes. This is that aerial view. It's more a little bit, we can see the location better. And if we can kindly blow it up to about, I don't know, 200% or so. Yeah. A little bit more maybe. Yes, thank you very much. We use this on many occasions, the interviews, and we get a good aerial view of the individual structures that are there. What I want to show obviously is we can see on the right hand side a quite long building. It is, I think, by far the longest building. It has a kind of a white roof on this picture. And maybe if the court officer would like to go there with it, because yeah, it's exactly that building. And just directly straight onto it, there is a building which seems to have a damaged roof. It is to the left with your curtain. Excuse me. If you go, yes. If you go to the long building again, and you go to the left with the cursor, yes, that is that particular building, and that is what at some point we will see. Anyway, it's on both sides. There is a number of structures standing. Obviously, if we go to the right, to the top, there we have a building clearly without a roof anymore standing. And on the opposite side, if we go to the opposite side of these buildings, yes, we will see a group of buildings. And if you go a little bit down with the cursor, yes, that building. Excuse me, a little bit up, please. Yes, one down. Yes, that building. Is the only building that is still standing today. And obviously we will get to it. The other buildings that are on that side, we have seen them on many occasions. Then I would like to ask the court officer if we really zoom into this location now to go to the photograph of the SPO. It's 00128-388. Thank you very much. It's a photograph which is obviously in the building, and it forms one of the centerpieces of this entire case. Later on you will see that we have tried through a 3D visual to reconstruct it, but we will get to that a little bit later. If you would please, these are obviously the structures which are on the left-hand side in that compound that we just saw of the aerial view. If we go to the next photograph, it's 00128-405. These are the SPOE numbers. It's the same three structures that we saw on the previous photo, however, from a different angle. And if we go to the next photograph, which is SPOE 00128-392. That is the structure that we have seen just before. It's on the left side of the aerial view location. And lastly, the photograph with number 00128-409. Yes, thank you very much, Madam Court Officer. This is the building that we believe on the aerial view that we saw earlier. The building without a roof. It is obviously that the building has no roof. And then lastly, we would like to show not far away from this group of buildings, and we can take out this picture, Madam Court Officer. Not far away from the group of structures, there's a building that used to be a school. It was abandoned and had no such function in the period of the indictment. It is referred to as the school building. One would need to go downhill from the group of structures, the compound so to speak, in order to reach it. We can show it with the photograph, and that is SPOE 00128-412. That is the school building. And then I would like to go back one more time to the photograph with the number SPOE 00213-478. Exactly. Thank you very much, Madam Court Officer. This is the aerial view. The location of the school building cannot be seen on this photograph, and neither can it be seen on the previous aerial photograph that we saw. We just have an ID. But why I want to show this picture is that we kind of try to reconstruct this entire area in order to get a good idea of what we are actually speaking about, and therefore we tried, Your Honor, to, and we can move this one away now, this photograph, in order to get a better understanding of the entire location of the indictment. The defense tried step by step to reconstruct the entire compound. The defense did this on basis of its own observations, leftovers of structures of some foundations, photographs from the case file, interviews with people, and a measure and measure the entire location with indications and dimensions that we observed and are available in the case file. And to this end, I would like to ask the court officer to show the most rudimentary map that we made at the time, which is number DSM 00386. Yes, and if we can rotate it, yes, this side up. It is a very, very, very basic map that we initially made. There was not much, that there were leftovers. Basically, we used mainly some particular things that were still there. There was a water well. There is a very big stone, which is to the right bottom corner. That's about where we put it. The tree, which is more or less indicated, which is on the same level as the big stone was lying. And then this was the very first thing. Then the next one I would like to ask is to see if you could put up DSM 00983. Here's a map of the situation. I'm not sure whether we are able to show this to show two photographs next to each other. It would be this one and SPOE 00213-478. Here we are. And if you could please blow that one up. Our famous blow up photo. Thank you very much. There you have about the indications that we uncovered during our investigations in order to get a good idea of what it is. If we take a look at the left photograph, we see the tall building, the on the right side, the long building. Would you go there with the cursor, Madam Court? Yes, exactly. And to the right you see a tree. Well, you see a tree. I say it's a tree. That is the tree. Yes. And if you take a look at the map, that is that particular tree. That is indicated. I think it says tree F exactly. And if it would go with a follow a straight line, that would go to tree B on the map. And that would be exactly on the left photograph indicated a little bit at the bottom. No? Yes, there. That would be it. We'll see it on the video in a bit. So just to have good indications, we demarcated by a what we call the 48-meter line and 23-meter line. It's just those are the dimensions that we measured ourselves. And this map, there is a map with it also with a legend with the this is a millimeter paper, so each square indicates a meter. Then if we would go to another document, it's DSM 00984. Yes, and if we could maybe put the other photograph next to it of the school building that we had earlier. That is 00128412. Exactly. Now, obviously, if we compare these, it's hard to see because there is we have no drones or whatever to use in order to make an aerial view of this school building. But I can tell you that if you're standing on these leftovers on the roof, then we measured it out and we got to these indication of this particular school building. The entrance of the school building is on the photograph at the opposite side. It is on the map. It would be on the right side where the arrow is indicated. Maybe the court officer can pinpoint the arrow on the map. Exactly, that would be where the entrance would be on that side. And what we see on the photograph is roughly the area which is at the bottom of the map that we see. Thank you very much, court officer. If we can take these out and we go to DSM 00985. That is the same as the previous map that we saw, with all kinds of measures, and we were able to recreate this and the area more accurately, and we showed these to some of the witnesses. The building with number 1 on this map is the only one still standing today, and that was there in 1999. We used the roof tiles of some of the of the building in order to reconstruct the size of the other buildings. These days, however, Your Honor, there is hardly anything left of it. As we can see on the following video footage of the area, we will be able to see, however, building number 1 on the map we have just shown you. And then I would like to show DSM 00451. It's a short video.
Defense counsel?
Yes.
We can, the video won't be seen in public.
No.
However, we cannot avoid the sound to go out.
Well, I
so
think that
if you
we-
would like to have
Yeah.
it confidential, we should
Yeah.
go into private session.
Okay. Then we go into private session, Your Honor.
Okay. Defense counsel, if there is any sound accompanying the video, then we mute it, and then
That's fine. Yeah,
then we
can-
don't have to go into private. This depends on you.
It's better that we do not go into private session. We just leave it without the sound off.
Very well. Please proceed.
Yes. Just before you start, this is just before we start. We can see here building number 1 that was on the map, and you will see a red-white line. Just in order to measure, we took the trees from one to the other, and there we start the footage. We can start it, yes. I think that's it, right? Yes. We zoomed in on two things. The first thing you saw maybe was the water well, which was in the back, a small round thing, and obviously the building that was still standing there. So, Your Honor, we interestingly, I'm not sure, but I'm not sure whether we can take, Your Honor, a photograph we can put next to it. It's a SPOE 00128 388. Yes, thank you very much. And if we could zoom in on the photograph very much more to the, yes, and would you move the picture a little bit to the left, yes, and zoom in closer, yes, thank you very much. The tree that we see there is probably the tree, well, almost sure, the tree that you see on the right side of the footage, the one on the very right side. Okay.
Defense counsel?
Yes.
The panel is not completely sure to understand which tree you are referring
Okay,
to.
if we go to the, if we see the video footage as it is now, it is the very first tree on the right side. No, oh, excuse me, one further, yeah, that one, no, one, yes, that one. It has a split, this tree. And the other tree that is to the left of it is a little bit, yes, it's a little bit more uphill. It's the other tree. If we go to now, please, if you would please show DSM 00389. And this photograph can go away as far as I'm concerned. Now this is a 3D remake of the location as we understand it. Buildings that we have information about or we have not information about. If you see the very tall building on the right, the one that is on the right side of this on this photograph. Would you please go with the cursor to that? It's a gray building. Yes, that one. We have no really information about it. The next building upward is there is a kind of white. Can we zoom in on this photo maybe? A little bit to that. Yes, thank you very much. You can see a kind of a veranda or whatever it is. And in the case file we have also made some measures and indicated in that way. At the very end is if you would go with the cursor a little bit up and a little bit down again. Yes, a little bit down again. Yeah, to the right. Thank you very much. There would be the entrance of what we believe is the building, the white building, which we have seen earlier, which was without a roof on the aerial photos that we have shown. We can zoom out again. You can see on the left the other buildings standing. The third building from the bottom. Yes, there you see we have put the tree again and the other tree again. And building number 1 is on it too. It's a little bit up from the building where we are with the cursor now. So yes, it's the bottom one. The bottom, yes, that one. Thank you very much, Madam Court Officers. We have this is the kind of an aerial view. Now we have it also on the field level. That is DSM 00387. That is more or less field level. It's a little difficult to make in 3 dimensions this kind of uphill ID that we have, but it's going uphill anyway. I don't think there's any. If we go to the next photograph with DSM 398, 00398. And if we can put DSM 398, yes, that one, exactly. And could we put the map next to it of 985? Thank you very much. Could you blow up the map a little bit? Thank you very much, exactly. If the court officer can go with the cursor to the photograph, or the 3D photograph, so to speak, and to the very first building, the black building, so to speak, yes, and go to the bottom right corner. Yes, from that is the measurement that we took for the 23 meters. Yes. So it's from that exact part. It is a single building that was standing, and so that's why. And the roof tiles, measured them, and it was quite a ordeal that the prosecutor gave us to do, to count all the roof tiles in order to get a clear picture of what the exact dimension of the centerpiece of this buildings is, obviously. But that is the way we used it. Okay. I think we are done with this, Your Honor. Thank you very much. Then, lastly, we would like to show DSM 00410. it's the same. We're standing at the lower part of this entire compound, and we're looking uphill. There's a kind of a pole. It's an electricity pole, or not any kind of pole. It's just a pole standing there, and we're looking uphill. And then lastly, if you could please show DSM 00412. And if we could combine this with SPOE 00213 478. Yes, and would you please blow up the photograph, please, Madam Court Officer? Yes, thank you very much, and put it a little bit down. Here on the right side, we can see the 3D representation, and we have this, if you would go with the cursor to the long structure once again, the gray one, yes, and directly opposing it is that structure, also gray, exactly. That is where we see on the left side of the photograph that particular building, and when we go with the cursor down, yes, and a little bit further down, it looks as if there is an entry there, an entrance. Yeah. So from there on.
Defense counsel.
I remember, yes.
We are
I know the time.
approaching 11 o'clock,
Yes,
so I
yes.
would like you to take it into account.
Yes, we will just finish this part and then take the break, and then we have some other stuff to do. It is difficult to see, but if we blow up further the left photograph and blow it up a little bit further again, is that possible? No. Okay. Just right where the cursor is, if you would go a little bit up with the cursor and to the left. It's hard to see on the picture. It's hard to see on the picture. I just wanted to say that we saw there the shadow of the pole that is standing there. That is why we positioned that electricity pole or whatever pole it was right there, and that thing is still standing there. It is visible on the picture. If we blow it up, then that is a possibility. Your
Defense
Honor,
counsel, excuse me,
yes.
for my understanding,
Yes.
you said the shadow
Yes.
of the pole?
That's right. Yeah, indeed. If we blow up the photo,
Yes.
indeed you can see the shadow. That's why we indeed were able to locate that pole on the 3D representation right there, because the tree, we have put it on the 3D representation, but that tree is not anymore there. But we were able to get that electricity pole, or whatever pole it was. And when we were looking at this left photograph, we blew it up. There's 4 aerial photos, and we blow it up. Then we can see that pole standing. So that is why where this poll comes from.
Thank you, Defense
Okay.
Counsel.
Your Honor, I must say, and I will conclude this part, and that's maybe the best way, the best moment to stop as well. We have made a last visit also to this location, and we have noticed that the area is apparently under construction. There is some new, brand new white building standing there or near that location, and it looks as if it is under a kind of redevelopment of some sort. Your Honor, I think that this is the exact moment where I think it is best to stop and to take a break. We won't be that long anymore, but I think it's best to take the neutral moment to do that at this moment. I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Defense Counsel. After the break, we will come back to the question I put
yeah.
to you at the beginning.
Yes,
Then we will just go for a short moment into a private session,
yes,
then come back, and
Yes.
depending of the outcome, I might give also an oral order.
right.
And then we will continue with
Yes.
the opening statement of the defense.
Yes.
And in the end, I will get back also to the SPO with a small question regarding filing or a presentation of evidence list of this morning. So for now, we adjourn
Yes.
for half an hour.
And I hope we establish a telephone meeting with my client. Thank you very much.
The hearing is adjourned.
All rise. please.
Please be seated. I don't see an established connection with Mr. Mustafa. Very well. Welcome, Mr. Mustafa. We didn't have the connection with you yet. Let me see. Yes, for the record, we are in the same composition as before the break. Madam Court Officer, can we go into private session?
Your Honors, we're in public session.
Okay. To put it on the record, thank you, Defense Counsel. The panel has taken note of your submissions. And Madam Court Officer, can we please go back into private session?
Your Honors, we're in public session.
Thank you, Madam Court Officer. Defense Counsel, you have the floor. You may continue with your opening statement.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you very much. Excuse me. Just two more pictures, photographs to go, and then I continue with something else. That is the photograph which has the number SPOE 00128-388. And the second one, which might go next to it, is SPOE 00128-392. Yes, maybe we could zoom in on a little bit on the left one, a little bit, just a little bit. Thank you, and zoom in a little bit on the right one. Yes, Your Honor, maybe it's easier to see on the left side. We see the tree with the split in on the left side of the door of this house. This is what we indicated earlier as the tree that we mentioned, and which is visible on the maps as well. You can see the tree on the right side too. This building, obviously, we believe it's to be just a normal, regular building of whatever use it is. In any way, it is not some sort of cow shed or any kind of thing that we've heard throughout the entire proceedings, in our view. This is what I wanted to speak about on these issues. Lastly, then we can continue. We can remove the screens, and thank you very much. Your Honor, as I said, during the last visit that we had, we have noticed that there is a very big change in the situation there. There is a redevelopment of reconstruction of that site. Then the Golak area and Slash. The Golak area, and within it, the Slash area, are, as we saw earlier, located east of Pristina. As the defense opened this statement with the findings of the report of the OSCE, this mountainous areas rather near Pristina, relatively near, I should say. After the NATO strikes, people fled wherever they could, and among the areas was the Golak area and Slash. People would take shelter and find accommodation within the houses of residents of that area. And we turn to the BIA. Runner Salih Mustafa was the commander of the BIA unit. This unit carried out its functions mainly with the help of civilians. People who would loan their homes or part of their homes to the unit so that information could be accumulated from enemy forces, displacements of those forces, or simply the houses could be used for stockpiling material that was needed for the people to get by in the conflict. As the defense already indicates, the area of operation of the BIA would be the urban areas, primarily in Pristina. BIA members could stay in a house of a civilians in order to rest or to make a stopover in times that they would be on the move. The defense disputes the entire idea that there would be a base in Slash. The word base suggests as if the entire compound would be under the control of BIA. This inference is entirely wrong. Slash would be for BIA people the same as anywhere else. They could stay in Slash in order to have a rest. It was for them a safe house, a relatively safe location, which was shared by other KLA units. After intensive work in the urban areas, the BIA members to have a safe house or to have a secure and safe rest relatively far from their area of operations. The SPO constructs its case around this and makes it look as if the BIA unit, or Salih Mustafa, would be there and run the entire compound and a detention center. It is entirely wrong what the SPO stated in its pre-trial brief, namely that BIA used this location as its headquarters. The area of operations of BIA was not even in Slash. So why on earth would they have a headquarters set up there? BIA had no operations, they had nothing to do in Slash. They could occupy maybe a room there when operations in towns were so intensive that they could take a rest in the hills. Salih Mustafa has pleaded not guilty to the charges. He has never harmed in any manner any of the witnesses that testified for the SPO. He vehemently denies that he did do anything wrong against any of them. The victims, whatever they might have lived, are simply wrong and have never identified the accused. If they have been detained or maltreated, it was certainly not by Salih Mustafa, nor has it ever been under or through his orders. Salih Mustafa had no authority whatsoever in the lab operational zone and had no authority whatsoever over Brigade 153 that operated in the area of Slash. Salih Mustafa has never detained anybody. Salih Mustafa has never maltreated anybody. Salih Mustafa has never killed anybody, nor has he anybody ever ordered to do so. Salih Mustafa is, with many others, a patriot and fought for the liberation of his country against one of the most oppressive regimes in modern history. Then I would like to ask you to go into private session.
Okay.
Thank you.
Madam Court Officer, can we go into private session, please?
Your Honors, we're in public session.
Thank you, Madam Court Officer. Defense Counsel, please proceed.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Your Honor, the charges against Mr. Mustafa are arbitrary detention of a number of individuals, cruel treatment, torture, and murder. We reiterate once again that Mr. Mustafa did never commit these crimes. On the 4th of February 2022, the SBO closed its case. The SBO called a number of witnesses that spoke about their detention, maltreatment, and spoke about the conditions in which they had been kept. Salih Mustafa did nothing against any of these people. He does not know them. He has no motive to harm them in any manner, and he had no authority in the area. He was not part of the Brigade 153 who was stationed in the area of the indictment. In sum, Salih Mustafa had nothing to do with any of these people. Have been brought by the SBO were victim of Salih Mustafa. Most of the witnesses never knew Mr. Mustafa. None of them identified him properly. The witnesses have dropped a name without knowing who the person was, describing a person in detail, or have never known him before the war. Neither have they known him after the war. We therefore believe that the SBO failed to produce evidence to meet the criterion necessary to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Mustafa that Mr. Mustafa committed the crimes as charged in the indictment. The accusations are false, and Mr. Mustafa should be acquitted of the crimes for which he is indicted. The defense does not need to prove that Mr. Mustafa has not committed these crimes. But nevertheless, we do present a case. The defense cannot give a day-by-day or a minute-by-minute account of the whereabouts of Mr. Mustafa. That cannot even be demanded and cannot be reconstructed after such a long time. But in the coming weeks, the court will hear the testimony of people who will speak about his whereabouts on the one hand, and the situation in Slash on the other hand. The Slash compound is the heart of this entire case. We have witnesses who were on the ground in that period of time of the indictment, of the time indicated in the indictment, to be precise. I truly hope that the SBO will listen to what the defense witnesses have to say, and hope that the SBO will reconsider its position, to listen with an open ear, and to see with an open eye what others say about the accused, about the situation in Slash, in order to shed light on the truth of the matter in the case at hand. the SPO failed to investigate any of the alleged co-perpetrators mentioned in the indictment. The defense wonder whether this was on purpose or out of fear of hearing something else that might hurt the case, their case. The defense believes that these people could have been tracked down and find them. We can draw inference that for some reason the SPO simply failed to do that. Your Honor, I want to conclude. The defense shall present evidence. We have a strong conviction that Mr. Mustafa is not guilty to the charges, based on the material that we were able to accumulate. We do not have to prove innocence, as a person is presumed innocent until proven beyond reasonable doubt that a person has indeed committed the crimes of the indictment. The defense is convinced and stands firm on its position that Mr. Mustafa is innocent and must be acquitted of all charges. Your Honor, I conclude my opening statement with that, and I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Defense Counsel. This concludes the opening statement of the Defense Counsel. Tomorrow, we will continue with the hearing of the first defense witness. And with a view to the hearing of tomorrow, I would like to discuss the following with the SPO. The panel received an email this morning from the SPO at 8:48, in which the SPO informed the panel, the Defense and the Victims Counsel, that it has released a presentation queue for the defense witness 2000, with a set of documents and its translation into English to be used during the cross-examination of defense witness. Yes. The panel notes that the material dates back as far as 2003 for some items, and it includes as well social media posts and media articles dated between 2013 and 2021, and some of which do not seem to have been previously disclosed by the SPO. And the panel notes that pursuant to paragraph 31 of the decision on the conduct of proceedings, which is filing 170, the parties and victims' counsel may only use material which has been disclosed and notified in legal workflow during the questioning of a witness. Otherwise, leave of the panel must be sought by means of an oral or a written request indicating why the material to be used was not previously disclosed. And the panel would like to know if these items are newly discovered and why they have been discovered only at this moment in time, and what is the relevance of such material for the purposes of your cross-examination. Mr. Prosecutor, you have the floor.
Your Honors, thank you very much. As a matter of brief explanation, we indeed have added certain items which were not previously on the prosecution exhibits list. Most of those points relate, they are simply the Facebook postings, Facebook photographs, Facebook material, open sources information. And similarly to the case of Fatmir Khumoli that we had a few weeks ago before this panel, where we also used similar Facebook information, also with the first defense witness, we are going to use certain public information, as we believe that we might need them for us to better assess or to assist the panel with the assessment of this witness's credibility. This is the reason why these items are in the presentation queue for our cross-examination.
Microphone, Your Honor.
Moment of disclosure, so today, this morning, and not earlier?
Your Honors, as we were preparing for the examination, for the cross-examination of this witness, we simply spent the recent days reviewing all information available, also in view of what is in the statement of the first defense witness, and then we realized that we might need these documents simply, but we will use them only if necessary. That's why they are on the presentation queue, depending on how the course of the examination will proceed with this witness.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Prosecutor. Victims' Counsel, would you like to bring forward submissions?
No, thank you, Your Honours.
Very well. Defense Counsel, would you like to react?
Yes, Your Honor. We oppose that this material that is so lately disclosed will be able to become part of the proceedings. Whatever the material is, we find most of it irrelevant to any of the facts, the circumstances of the case, the accused, or whatever. So therefore there is no merit in the material that is now being presented. I do not even see what any personal information might add to the credibility of a witness. It will not change any matter.
Sorry, I didn't
Yes.
hear what you said.
We fail to see what the material actually would do or change about the facts, about the circumstances, or about the accused. The witness, whatever he says in his private life, it is not an relevant item to seek material out of the private person's things in order to say, well, therefore he becomes, that discredits in any manner whatever he has lived. He has made statements to the defense, to the prosecution, and I think it is best to limit the scope of the examination to that as well. So we oppose the material that has been requested, and it's not the first time that we have this on the very last moment. And if it would be granted anyway, I really hope that it will be for the very last time that we have this. We have now become known about the witnesses, who they are from defense and so on, and therefore such material should not be introduced at the very last moment. There's hardly anything to prepare on it. So that's all we have to say about it.
Thank you, Defense Counsel. Yes, please, Mr. Prosecutor.
Your Honours, my apologies for taking the floor again. I would like to say one thing about the late disclosure. We are not going to, maybe I was not clear when I started my first representation on this issue, but we don't intend to add these materials to the SPO exhibits list. It's not our intention. The sole intention is to use them for the purpose of cross-examination and nothing but this, to assess the credibility. We believe, and this is my counter-argument as to the relevance of these materials, we believe that a close relationship to the accused of the first defense witness is of relevance, and also the issue of his potential attitude towards this court is also relevant. Again, they are closely tied to the credibility issue, but not only.
Thank you, Mr. Prosecutor.
Thank you.
Victims' Counsel.
Thank you, Your Honours. Only very, very briefly, Facebook is hardly private. It's media. It's a media outlet, a social media outlet, and as such it has to be treated, and certainly if I understood previous submissions rights, it isn't covered by any privacy grounds. That's just a thought to take into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Victims' Counsel. Defense Counsel.
we cannot see actually what the SBO selects from Facebook and what he does not select. So we really don't see whatever merit would be in that. So I don't think it is proper to argumentatively pick some post that a party or might find that is in some form touching on his credibility. That is on the one thing. And whatever the views of a person might be over the court, over the SBO, or over the defense, or over the accused, I really don't see what that would what that would do to detriment of actually the testimony of the person. It is not that we are looking, oh, what is your feeling about this, or what is your feeling about that. No, it is, what did you see? Where were you? With who were you? When were you there? What did you see? What did you not see? What did you experience? What did you do? And not what are the internal views or externalized through any kind of media outlet, and then say, well, it is because you have this or that view that probably you're not a credible witness. I think we should assess always the witnesses on what they have seen, heard, done, experienced. This is what we need. And anything else is rather irrelevant. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Defense Counsel. I will render an oral order on this, I will call it request. The panel notes that disclosure of new material from the SPO took place on the day before the testimony of the defense witness 200. This provided indeed limited time for the defense to familiarize itself with the material. The panel considers, however, that the SPO gathered such material after the final list of witnesses from defense had been filed on the 14th of March, which is filing 343. And it has requested leave of the panel today indicating why such material was not previously disclosed. The panel notes that for testing the credibility of the witness, the SPO can use information which are not related to the charges. So therefore, the panel authorizes the SPO to use such material during the cross-examination of the defense witness 200 and further decides that the defense, if it so wishes, will be given some additional time during the breaks, by extending the breaks in order to study such material and consult with Mr. Mustafa to prepare its examination. This concludes my oral order. Now I will ask the parties and the Victims' Counsel if there's anything else to raise for tomorrow. Mr. Prosecutor.
No further points.
Thank you. Victims' Counsel.
Nothing from us, thank you.
Thank you. Defense Counsel.
Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. If there's nothing and there's not anything else to raise, we will resume tomorrow for the first defense witness. And I thank the parties and the Victims' Counsel for their attendance. And I also thank the interpreters, the stenographer, and the people of the audiovisual booth and the security for their assistance. The hearing is adjourned till tomorrow, 9:30.
All rise.